1833. Author, abolitionist. Born into slavery in Bermuda, Mary was very rarely in charge of her own story. In the course of her life, she was bought and sold 5 times, separated from her family and forced into grueling, back-breaking work. For her first 40 years, she was powerless in a system that saw her only as property. Any rebellion would result in beatings, floggings, or worse. Only when her master was away on business did Mary act in defiance. She learned to read and earned some of her own money. In 1826, she met and married a free man, but when her owners found out, she was severely beaten. In 1828, she travelled to England with her owners, but swiftly escaped to freedom. Slavery was banned in Britain, but was still legal in the colonies, so although Mary was free, there was no way she could travel back to her husband. Instead, she took action and began to campaign for the abolition of slavery throughout the British Empire. In 1831, she wrote and published her autobiography, The History of Mary Prince, a West Indian Slave, related by herself, the first account of the life of a black woman ever published in Britain. In this shocking and impactful book, she recalled the awful brutalities of her upbringing. Through her detailed storytelling, she helped people realize just how terrible it was to be a slave in the colonies. The book was so successful, it printed 3 times that year. Finally, in 1833, the Slavery Abolition Act was passed, and slavery was outlawed throughout the British Empire. Mary used her story and her powerful words to reach people, and, in turn, to help change history.
Seaman William Brown, circa 1794. Sailor. In 1815, it was discovered that Seaman William Brown was a black woman who had secretly disguised herself as a man in order to serve in the British Royal Navy. In the 18th and 19th centuries, it was not unheard of for a woman to pass herself off as a man to enlist in the military. At the time, Britain was the most powerful naval force in the world. It was a highly respected position, but being a sailor was no glamorous job. It was tough and dangerous work. There are a few varying accounts of William Brown's story. One version was published in the Annual Register for 1815. It states that she served on the flagship of Britain's premier battle fleet, the HMS Queen Charlotte, for upwards of 11 years. The story says she took on many jobs aboard the ship and was capable of steering the wheel and navigating through shallow waters. She even served for some time as captain of the foretop, leading the other sailors high above the ship in the upper sails. An official document from the ship, the muster list, tells a different story. It states that on 23rd of May, 1815, a 21-year-old man from Grenada joined the crew of the HMS Queen Charlotte as a landsman, the lowest-ranking crew member, and was discharged on the 19th of June for being a female. If that is the true story of William, she served for 27 days, which was no easy feat. As a landsman, she was entirely new to the hard work of life at sea and had to keep her identity a secret. We may never know exactly what happened to William Brown, and we do not know her true name, but one thing is clear. She successfully enlisted and served her country and is recorded as the first black female to serve in the British Navy.
Sojourner Truth, circa 1797 to 1883. Abolitionist, women's rights advocate. Sojourner was born a slave in New York State under the name Isabella Baumfree. Following the state's Gradual Emancipation Act, she was due her freedom in 1827. When she realized that her owner was planning to keep her enslaved, Sojourner ran away with her infant daughter in tow. But this came at a huge cost. She had to leave behind her 5-year-old son. The slave owner sold Sojourner's son to a plantation 1,000 miles away in Alabama. Meanwhile, Sojourner remained in hiding in New York until her freedom was official. When the coast was clear, she brought a court case saying that her son had been sold illegally. She was one of the first black women to bring a court case in America.